النساء المسفوكة أمام ذكورة الله، غرغرات الذين ماتوا بردا في منتصف الأغنية. إنها الحلم حين يكون مجردا من الحالمين. نعم، إنها ليست قصائدي، إنها ذكريات متحجرة لأناس عاشوا قبل زمن سحيق لا نعرف أسماءهم، ولكننا نحملهم في ملامحنا الباهتة، أمنيات لم تتحقق وضحكات مستعملة. إنها ليست قصائدي، إنها أنفاس الغرقى والمشنوقين والأرواح التي سالت من ثقوب صغيرة أحدثتها البنادق. إنها ليست قصائدي، ليست قصائدي. لست أنا فقط، جميعنا غرباء، وإلا كيف تفسرون المدينة؟ 6. الشاعر الذي التقيته ذات خمارة في دمشق أكله الذئب. 7. من أول الجسد إلى تخوم الشهوة يساقط الليل جرحا جرحا فأحتمي بالضوء. النساء المتخفيات بجلابيبهن يذكرنني بذكورة العالم فأتعكز على أنوثة كي أنجو. والتعب الذي يسيل خلف المارة يشدني إلى القاع. هذه المدينة لا تشبه الفرح، لكن فيها غموضا يصيبنا بسعادة عابرة. لا تشبه الموت، لكنها محكومة بالنهايات. هي الظلم الموزع بعدالة فاضحة، حلم المرأة بالانعتاق، تنهديدة الله، ورأس يوحنا الذي يركض في ليالينا باكيا. هي التحالف بين القصيدة والجلاد، بين رائحة الأسوار طازجة ونكهة الأزقة التي تفضي إلى البداية. إنها الشام، عرس الدم الذي لا ينتهي، رقصة سالوم التي تمطر أياماً على أيامنا، النهاية التي تبدأ الآن، صلاة أم المبللة بالأساطير، المآذن التي تلامس أصابع الله، لصوتها طعم يشبه لون الشعر، ولجسدها تضاريس الخطيئة. إنها الشام التي أنجبتني وسقطت برصاصة قناص فولدنا معاً. أشدها نحوي فتنكسر الأغنية، تشدني نحوها فتؤلمني القصيدة. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الشام إلا وأنتم سكارى فإنها مجبولة بالنعاس، لها الأغاني المقتولة وتفاصيل النبوة ورائحة الوحي، ولنا التصوف تحت سرتها عراة. نحن أبناؤها العاقون الذين ضاعوا في الشمال، وهي أمنا التي لم ترضعنا سوى الخوف، فورثنا سورة الشعراء. إنها الشام، تفاحة الضوء وسفر الحزن ورسائل ابن العربي التي لم تصل بعد. Thank you.
Hvala, Ghayath. Ghayath je v torek bral v Kortini pri Krkavčah na enem izmed večerov pred dnevi, odkuder je prišel čisto navdušen, ker je spoznal toliko ljudi, ki so se želeli z njim pogovarjati in ki so želeli podpis v knjigice, ki so se jih nabavili, tako da priporočam, da če vas zanima, imate izvrstno priložnost, da se z njim pogovorite in pa da mu date podpis knjigica. Naslednji pesnik pa je dokaz, da se na Ptuju razvijajo lepe zgodbe. Lani je bil gost festivala oziroma obiskovalec festivala, ki je festivalsko dogajanje spremljal tako kot vi z publike. Tu je spoznal svojega bodočega prevajalca Andreja Pleterskega, ki je prevedel njegovo poezijo, tako smo ga odkrili tudi mi in ga letos povabili na festival. Tako se nam je letos pridružil na velikem odru. Gale Burns.
What we learned in playgrounds. The mystery of public space unfettered, how adults do not rule everywhere, an affinity for airstrips and roads, the taste of asphalt sucked from wells. We learned of soulmates hanging off railings for hours with Paul from the orphanage, then one day gone, of swirling gangs led by those who would later lead the country, of weather, how it's good for you, its puddle contours, how to yearn for a radiator, the worrying fatness of thighs on benches, the strangeness of girls, their games of hair and rope we once dared ourselves play, dark rumors of menstruation, of playground refuge from forced semolina, the precise partitions of age, how to be victim, then how to perpetrate. Even once road safety, its zebra canvas and cones, bitumen memories granulating the brain, for here we learnt the world. England is known for its rather picturesque countryside. But behind the pictures, it's changing. England. Turn left at the garage with squat pumps rusting, past the village shop, one left now. Mrs. Dalton, the sole news point, past the new vicarage, the old one sold off, where the vicar lives with his young male friend. You'll see the village school with its remaining class and the churchyard with your ancestors gently waiting. You pass through manorial gates under the dappled spring downs, and there before you, in bright fields like lapping seas, are 3 great cedars, ageless, with surfing dark green branches. Here, regal horses swish their tails, nodding in agreement, while noisy rooks picket dead elms, speckled with mistletoe exploding. Families can be great places to grow up, and they usually, each of our families had some kind of constraint. And for many of us, we had someone at least who was a little bit different. And in my case, it was a woman called Mrs. J. The housekeeper. After au pair upon au pair, one pregnant, another violent, Mrs. J appeared. What was her first name? Baking floured potatoes and ironing all with rasped edge humor and fag from which ash fell. Never thought I'd reach 40, she said, and so she lived our lives, ignoring the Jungian hush. A window on the 30s, the flapper years, endless parties. Together we braved adult movies, probably good for him, mother surmised. And of an evening I would shipwreck in her thighs, leaning back to watch the missile crisis, the death of Kennedy, Hanratty's justice. Her heart was saved for the witless cocker, what was its name, that we bought her, walking her in wild winds, at risk the hairpiece we never mentioned, and the swollen joints arthritic from jumping in the Arctic. My mother died, and Mrs. J baked floured potatoes, ironing all, for the stepfather remaining, until finally she could walk no more, and distant daughter descended, stealing her to dogless Essex. I saw her once in some terminal. I did not thank her or become emotional. We greeted her family at the funeral, strangely outnumbered. Mrs. J borrowed, returned, housekeeper, sans house. Plants at night take on straggled shape in shades of black, strewn, fibrous, cantilevered with deep canopies. Fingering grains of earth, they grip and wait, exhale and dream, though not the dream of sleep. In stretched moonlight hours, they meditate, a limb will quiver. What the bat will hear, surfing husks, is a moan, plant on plant, a charcoal call that topples drunks returning home, whines with the wind, sirens to planets, come to me until the abysmal black is unbearable when dawn etches the horizon, mundane, arboreal, emerald dawn. First of all, I know Staša's done it, or I think Staša's done it, but to thank my translator, Andre, who I'm very pleased. After a year, he's here, so I'm seeing him again. This poem, I come from a country which is still currently at war, despite the Olympics. And I know Slovenia has, as all countries, its own history with war. This poem I wrote actually imagining what would happen if the Arab Spring came to Britain. And then 3 or 4 months after I wrote it, there were big riots in every city in the country. And I thought, gosh, my poetry may be more powerful than I thought. We are at war. And now we know we always were, slaves to the appearance of things, fooled by the promise of permanence, the accumulation of trappings, the celebration of this, the first generation kept from battle, soft hands, suckled, suckling still. But signs were all around, the mental patient consigned to weeks of sleep, the silted air, suburban privet clipped to reassure. And then the war within, to raise a voice, our own, to reconfigure now, even to like another. These struggles curb us still, but out of silo, till we, the bribed, cannot pretend. With chassis torn away, the engine belches, pumping, spewing oil. When shelves are bare and streets quiver, and friends are wrenched from life by eagle weapons, the trees stand bright, and though we cannot sleep, each day has imminence. Throw yourself upon the time, ambivalence relieved. Beirut, Belfast are teachers now. Even our ancestors, staring from gilt frames, knew more than we. At war, and now we're sure we always were. For what was sent abroad is recompensed, and though the fear is such we hardly breathe, at last time moves just as it should in one long stream. The dam is burst, and all the horses of the king and all his men, they'll never hold this sclerotic world intact again. And finally, to finish, they say the 2 big traumatic events in many people's lives are breakup of relationship and moving house. But I think having a builder in your house can be almost as bad. The builder. Small, aging, gimlet eyes, no English. I serve him tea, 4 sugars. At first we sign my needs. As day blurs into costly day, he's less concerned. Floorboards sanded almost to the joists, silk white walls, first grey, now black. Paint smells of him. As thickening dust covers my browning plants, corn grows in the kitchen. Some windows are painted gloss with paint reflection. Wires now cross the room, crackling. Shower heads appear in the bedroom. The fridge hangs from the ceiling, door glued shut. I eat wood filler and grout. He sleeps here now to save time. The phone rings less. It is always for him. Often it is him. Sometimes his friends, all alike, jostle in the hall, but when they're gone, it's too still to breathe. At night, the plaster heaves and sweats. By morning, like elephant skin, it's grown an inch. Some walls almost meet. Floral moldings have burst in the heat and now bear rotting fruit. My skin is gashed, blood varnish seals the wood. At dusk, I'm in 3 rooms at once. My clippings, hair and sperm stuck to the wall as wood chip. 1 room is sealed. Sometimes I am him, small, aging, gimlet eyes, no English. Then he returns. Tonight, I will pack my bag and squeeze till motionless into the jar under the sink. Thank you.